Rain falls like static against the glass. A soft percussion that fills the silence Alex had grown used to. 6 months of calm since the papers were signed. 6 months of relearning solitude. Of finding peace in the slow hum of nothingness. The quiet is a luxury now, until headlights slice through the night and a figure appears in the downpour. It takes a moment for Alex to understand what he's seeing. Lena, his ex-wife, standing in the driveway, drenched. Her white wedding dress clinging to her skin like a ghost that refused to fade. Her mascara runs like inked tears down her cheeks, her hands trembling as if she's holding the past itself. The piece fractures in an instant, and with it, everything Alex thought he'd buried. Lena's voice is fractured by sobs as she tries to explain. The wedding was meant to be a fresh start, she says. A chance to forget him. But when the music started and she looked down the aisle, she realized she couldn't. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Alex listens, the storm muffling every word into something softer, almost tender. He had imagined her happy. He had rehearsed letting her go. Now she's here, dressed in the ruins of a dream neither of them finished. The air smells of rain and memory. Alex drapes a blanket over her shoulders, her hands trembling as she clutches it close. There are no questions. Not yet. Just silence, the kind that knows too much. The clock ticks louder than it should. The sound of the storm outside feels too intimate, too much like the night they first said goodbye. He asks if she's hurt. She shakes her head but can't meet his eyes. The house creaks in the wind. On the wall, a photograph of them. Taken years ago, laughter frozen mid-breath, seems to look back. It's cruel how the past survives the people who leave it. When the thunder fades, Lena whispers the only thing that matters. I couldn't go through with it. Alex exhales, a sound that's half grief, half something older. Outside, the storm begins to break. Inside, something else begins to stir. A question neither of them wants answered. Morning crawls into the house like a trespasser, shy and uninvited. The storm has passed, but the air feels heavy, like something sacred has been disturbed. Lena sits wrapped in Alex's old blanket, staring at the window fogged with pale light. He makes coffee, the sound of the machine breaking the silence with its soft, rhythmic hiss. There is no script for this kind of return, no apology rehearsed enough to sound right. She tells him she drove all night after walking away from the altar. He nods, not knowing whether to pity her or himself. When she finally looks at him, it's not with regret. It's with a question she can't speak. The day unfolds slowly, like they're afraid to break it. She changes into one of his old shirts while her dress hangs dripping in the shower. They talk in half sentences, about nothing and everything. About how the coffee tastes different now. About how silence used to mean safety. Alex tries to ask why she came, but stops himself. Maybe he already knows. Later, they drive to the cliffs where they used to argue about everything and nothing. The ocean below mirrors the sky, gray, uncommitted, endless. She asks if he's angry. He says he doesn't have the energy for anger anymore. The truth hangs between them, thin as mist. What they had wasn't broken by cruelty, but by exhaustion. The kind that leaves no villains, only ghosts. They walk the beach in silence. Every footprint feels like a line of dialogue left unsaid. Lena laughs suddenly at something small. The way the waves curl. The way the wind steals her hair across her mouth. For a heartbeat, it feels like before. But memory, Alex realizes, is a cruel kind of mercy. It lets you visit, but never stay. That night, she sleeps on the couch, her breathing slow and steady beneath the ticking of the clock. Alex lies awake upstairs, staring at the ceiling. The house feels smaller now, as if her presence rewrote its silence. He thinks of the vows they broke, the promises they buried, the life that keeps trying to resurrect itself. Somewhere below, a floorboard creaks, the sound of something returning. Morning comes without permission. The house breathes again, alive in a way it hasn't been for months. Lena makes breakfast as if she never left. Eggs. toast, the same rhythm of clinking plates that once filled their Saturdays. Alex watches from the doorway, the scent of coffee twisting through the air like déjà vu. Everything feels familiar but wrong, like a memory wearing new skin. He wants to tell her to stop, that this domestic peace is borrowed time. But his mouth betrays him with silence. Some ghosts, he realizes, don't need to haunt you. They just walk back in and start cooking. They sit at the kitchen table across from each other like two versions of the past, trying to negotiate peace. Lena asks if he's been seeing anyone. He lies and says no. She smiles faintly, the kind of smile that hides too many endings. There's a quiet battle in their eyes, neither wanting to admit that moving on doesn't mean forgetting. Somewhere, a clock ticks too loud. Somewhere, something still lingers in the walls. In the afternoon, Alex finds her in the old guest room, touching the bookshelf where her handwriting still marks the spines. She's tracing a note she once left him, a love letter disguised as a quote, "If you ever come back, make sure it's real." Her lips tremble as she reads it aloud. He stands in the doorway, unable to move, haunted by how easily memory can masquerade as hope. That evening, the house hums with the electricity of old habits. They play a record, one they use to dance to after fights. The melody is slow, a waltz built for people who've run out of excuses. Lena steps closer, hesitant. Alex lets her hand rest against his chest, their bodies remembering what their minds have tried to forget. The dance is clumsy, imperfect, beautiful. Somewhere between the beats, forgiveness feels possible. Later, when the record ends, they don't let go right away. The silence feels heavier than the song. Lena whispers that she never stopped loving him, that she only left because she thought peace meant separation. Alex closes his eyes, knowing that love, when wounded, doesn't die. It just learns to whisper. The storm may have passed, but the air still tastes of rain. By morning, the spell begins to unravel. The quiet feels different now, too sharp, too aware. Alex wakes to find Lena gone from the couch, her blanket folded neatly, the scent of her hair still lingering in the air. For a moment, panic grips him, that old familiar dread of losing something twice. Then he hears her outside, laughing softly into the phone. He doesn't mean to listen, but her words slice through him anyway. "I just needed to see him one last time." The world narrows to a single heartbeat. Some ghosts don't fade. They just lie dormant, waiting for the right silence to be heard again. When she comes back in, her smile falters under his stare. The air thickens with words neither wants to start. He asks who it was, his voice quiet but trembling. She looks away. "No one that matters," she lies, too softly to believe. He almost laughs, because if she's here, crying in a wedding dress that wasn't meant for her, then everyone matters. The truth, when it lands, doesn't shatter, it sighs. They drive in silence, the kind that feels heavier than anger. The road winds through wet asphalt and gray fields, the sky stitched with pale threads of light. Lena keeps her hands in her lap. Alex grips the wheel like it's the only thing keeping him steady. Finally, she admits she ran because she couldn't face what love demanded, a truth heavier than vows. He doesn't answer. The only sound is the turn signal clicking like a metronome for everything left unsaid. They stop at the old diner off Highway 7, the one where they first said, "I love you," and last said, "Goodbye." The same jukebox hums in the corner. The same waitress nods in quiet recognition. They sit in their old booth, pretending nostalgia can fill the space where honesty should be. Lena stirs her coffee, watching it ripple like a memory trying to settle. Alex says her name softly, and for the first time she looks like she might break. That night, back at the house, the quiet returns. But it's not peace this time. It's surrender. Lena stands by the window, eyes lost in the distance, while Alex sits on the edge of the couch staring at his hands. He knows she'll leave before dawn. The air already carries that kind of silence. But when she turns toward him, her eyes shimmer with something soft and final. "I'm sorry," she whispers. He nods, because forgiveness isn't a word. It's an exhale. The storm outside doesn't return, but somehow it still rains inside him. The next morning, Lena is gone. Her shoes are missing from the doorway, the blanket folded once again. But something lingers, the faint trace of perfume, the echo of her laughter in the walls. Alex walks the house slowly, like he's touring a museum of his own mistakes. Every room feels heavier than before, burdened by the knowledge that closure isn't an ending, just a quieter form of grief. Then he notices it. The loose floorboard beneath the hallway rug. It creaks differently, a soft whisper beneath his foot. He kneels, prees it open, and finds the envelope, yellowed, sealed, addressed in Lena's handwriting from years ago. The letter trembles in his hands as he breaks the seal. The ink is faded but familiar, her voice preserved in strokes of blue. She wrote it during the days before their divorce, when silence had become their common language. In it, she speaks of fear, of how love felt like drowning and breathing at once. She wanted to leave before they both forgot who they were. And then, the last line, "If I ever come back," is not for forgiveness. It's because I never stopped hoping you'd understand. He drives aimlessly for hours, the letter folded neatly in his pocket. The sky hangs low and colorless, the kind that presses against the windshield like breath. Every mile feels like memory, every exit sign a what if. When the rain starts again, it feels almost merciful. He pulls over near the old park they used to visit, the swings creaking in the wind, the world pausing long enough for regret to feel whole. As the rain softens, Alex steps out of the car and walks through the park. The world feels emptied out but alive, the kind of silence that waits for an answer. He sits on the swing where she once read poetry to him, the chains cold against his hands. The letter is open again in his lap, its words bleeding slightly from the rain. He reads it aloud, voice shaking, the sound of it swallowed by wind. Somewhere, he imagines Lena standing barefoot on another road, whispering the same lines to the sky. Back home, the house waits, quiet, unchanged. Alex places the letter on the kitchen table, beside 2 coffee cups that will never be paired again. He doesn't cry. Instead, he breathes, deeply and fully, as if inhaling for the first time in months. Some part of him knows she won't return. Another part hopes she will. The difference no longer hurts. The camera would linger here, on a man surrounded by stillness, learning to live with what remains. Weeks pass. The house has learned to be quiet again, but not lonely. Alex starts leaving the windows open, letting the wind rearrange the silence. He paints, something he hadn't done in years, the colors bleeding from his hands like confessions. One morning, a small package arrives on the doorstep. No return address. Just his name written in a curve he recognizes instantly. Inside, a single Polaroid. Lena standing in front of an unfamiliar cabin, smiling, barefoot, the ocean behind her. On the back, her handwriting reads, "I'm learning to be okay. I hope you are too." He drives to the coast, following nothing but the sound of waves in his head. The highway hums beneath him, endless and forgiving. Every mile between them feels both like loss and mercy. When he reaches the ocean, he doesn't look for her. He just stands there, shoes sinking into the wet sand, watching the tide erase footprints before they can mean anything. In that erasure, something inside him exhales. He begins to write her letters he'll never send. Small fragments of the life he's building. The stray cat that sleeps on his porch. The new painting that looks like rain. The sound of the sea through the open door. Each word becomes a thread, connecting what was to what's possible. Forgiveness, he realizes, isn't about her coming back. It's about not closing the door she once walked through. That night, Alex dreams of her. Not the Lena who left, but the one who stayed long enough to matter. They're dancing again in the living room, the same record spinning, the same lamplight trembling between them. But when he wakes, he isn't sad. The dream doesn't hurt anymore. It's just a memory, folded neatly beside his heart, like her letter beneath the floorboards once was. Days stretch forward like calm seas. Alex paints a final canvas, a wide horizon with no figures, no storm, just the meeting of sky and water. He doesn't title it. Some endings don't need names. As he cleans his brushes, he looks once more toward the window. The world outside glows in amber light. He whispers a thank you. Not to her, not to fate, but to the ache that taught him how to breathe again. The sea hums like memory. Months have passed, maybe more. Time no longer keeps count the way it used to. Alex's home smells of salt and turpentine now, his paintings stacked against the walls like unsent letters. He's built a life that breathes quietly, without apology. One morning he receives a postcard, just an image of a sunrise over water and 3 words written across the back. I made it. He smiles. Not because it hurts, but because it doesn't. Healing, he realizes, is never dramatic. It just arrives one morning, disguised as stillness. He starts teaching art classes at a small community center by the sea. The students laugh easily. They paint without fear of being seen. When they ask about his past, he only says, every color comes from something you've survived. It becomes a kind of truth. The sea outside the window hums its quiet applause. Somewhere in that sound, maybe she's listening too. One evening, he walks the beach alone. The tide is low, the sky the color of faded silver. He closes his eyes and listens. The waves, the gulls, the heartbeat of something larger than sorrow. He imagines her somewhere beyond the horizon, smiling, free. He whispers goodbye, not as an ending, but as a blessing. The wind carries it away, and for once, he doesn't reach to take it back. Back home, the letter beneath the floorboards remains undisturbed. He doesn't need to reread it anymore. It's written somewhere deeper now. He sits at his easel, adding the final stroke to a new painting. 2 figures facing the sea, one fading into the horizon, the other watching without sorrow. It's not about love or loss. When night falls, the camera drifts through the quiet house, the empty hallway, the soft sway of curtains, the ocean whispering beyond the window. Alex sits by the open door, eyes closed, breathing in the salt and wind. His peace is unremarkable, unphotographed, but absolute. The world keeps turning, and somewhere, love has learned to live without longing. The final image fades slowly, light spilling into darkness, the quiet after forever.